This is the 20th anniversary
Yep.
around Laguna. It's same thing with Hannah Montana.
Yeah, I saw that.
And there's just so few shows that literally catapult you into stardom like that so fast.
I'm just this kid hanging out in Laguna, and then MTV shows up, and all of a sudden they're treating us like these, so-called stars when it was imposter syndrome to the max, and validated, because it was like, you guys are just, you're just plucked from obscurity.
I can imagine how that was to be so young, because same thing with Molly. I swear Hannah Montana started and the next day she was famous.
Yeah.
It was pretty nuts. Stephen Colletti's here.
Hello.
I'm so excited. Anyway, welcome to Sorry We're Cyrus.
Thank you. It's funny walking in here, but like, have I been here before?
I have a feeling you have.
I think there was a party way back in the day. So
that had to be like, okay, so I've been here 12 years, so it's probably like longer than that, like 15 years ago, maybe.
this tracks. I mean, running around Hollywood in 2009, 10, 11. Yeah, those are some peak times for me in these parts.
Yes. And by the way, I did not live here when that was happening.
Yeah.
Someone else lived here. We were not partying 15 years ago. But anyway, you definitely know Stephen from Laguna Beach, One Tree Hill, and basically being one of the original TV heartthrobs. You're still a cutie. I love it.
Too kind.
But these days, Stephen is stepping into a whole new chapter, from podcasting and revisiting the Laguna Beach era to Traitors, life, growth, and everything in between. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's good to be here. It's been a journey in the business, and it's taken us into all sorts of different corners of the country and the world. And yeah, we're happy that we're still hanging around,
Totally. You still loving living in California?
Oh yeah. I was always going to come back here. Growing up in Laguna, it was just, the beach was second nature. It was my babysitter. It was mom locking me out of the house saying, get down to the beach and I'll see you at like 5:00. So this is just, it's home. And everywhere I've been, it's always just drawn me back. And even living in LA, it was tough, I felt like, to get to the beach. It's just such a project to get across town and get down there. So just recently moved back to Orange County with my wife, and we're very happy to be there.
Laguna is honestly the most beautiful place on earth, I swear.
Yeah. You go down there too, very much?
So my husband, he used to have a beach house in Laguna.
Okay.
Gorgeous.
Why did he give it up?
Divorce.
Okay. Sorry.
Not ours.
That makes sense.
But it was so beautiful, and we go down there every now and then.
Yeah.
But like you said, like the traffic, like the other day, his kids went down and said it took them 2.5 hours to get there, and almost 3 hours to get back, because it was like 6:00.
I know.
And so it's so hard, but it's so much better. Like, I love it so much more than even Malibu.
Yeah. I think once you get down there, I mean, some of the beaches are some of the best in the country, if not the world. Especially in Laguna, you've got these very unique coves and the tide pools to walk around. I'm always kind of telling people to go to Newport, where the beaches are better. They're not as good. Laguna's the best, but just to get, just to spread the crowds a little bit.
So, because I when we watch surfing, it's Lower Trestles. Is that?
Yeah. So that's south down. That's just below San Clemente there.
That's what I thought. So we go there quite a bit.
Yeah. That's a good spot.
Yeah,
definitely.
it's really, I love San Clemente.
It's so, the whole area down there. It's just all a gem. And in the vibe, the further you get south from LA, the pace slows down in a nice way, especially if you like being by the beach. So yeah, it's good living.
Totally. Well, just so we get to know you a little bit before we dive in, I'm going to ask you just a few little fun questions. Sure. Okay. Introvert or extrovert?
Mostly an extrovert, but I definitely need my introverted time. You know?
Do?
Yeah, I got to recharge.
Okay. I feel like I'm both too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I already know the answer. Beach day or cozy night?
Beach day, definitely.
Go to coffee order.
I'm an iced Americano with almond milk. Usually 2 of those a day.
2.
I know. We're trying to cut back a little bit. The sleep is sleep is a little hurting, and we have a baby on the way, so I'm trying to get as much sleep as possible. So
she is very pregnant. How soon are you having your baby?
we're just over a month away. It feels like we're less than a minute away, but yeah, she's ever expanding, but she's been killing it. She's over here. Yes, I've been waiting for this like full breakdown moment, but she's just charging forward. It seems like the later we get in the pregnancy, she's just got more and more of a handle on it, and I'm like,
amazing.
Babe, this is incredibly hot. Like you are a superhero.
Seriously, women are superheroes.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Your ideal Sunday.
Ooh, that's a walk to get coffee with my wife. Back up to the house, ordering sandwiches from our favorite spot, taking those down to the beach.
Fun.
A couple hours down there. And then back home, and we'll settle into a couple shows. Sunday night usually means maybe watching SNL from the night before, a little 60 Minutes, see what's going on in the world. We'll mix in some reality as well. Yeah, we go across the gambit there.
Your lives are getting ready to change big.
yeah, I know.
100%. Do that.
Yeah.
Crazy. Okay, your biggest pet peeve?
What is my biggest pet? You know what? This is so random, and I'm sorry if I offend anybody here in the room, but whenever I hear people say the word wolf and they go woof, for some reason it gives me like an ick. I don't know.
That is hilarious.
Do you say that?
Do
you say wolf or woof?
Wolf.
Yeah, I say wolf.
Wolf.
Thank you for pronouncing it. For someone to the other time, I'm like, ooh.
Wolf. I think I say wolf.
So maybe not necessarily my biggest pet peeve, but that just happened the other day.
Is that a Southern thing though? I think it's our Southern thing. Yeah.
I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody.
That's so funny. Favorite TV binge watch?
I'm obsessed with Vince Gilligan, who's done Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. I love.
I haven't seen that one yet. I haven't seen Better Call Saul.
Okay, it's great. If you like Breaking Bad, you can get into that, and it's
Breaking Bad everything.
Yeah, so it's very good, and it's not necessarily a slow burn, but I just tell people like it's you're kind of, there's some shows where you're expecting to get hooked like right away when you jump in, but the way Vince Gilligan and his team, the way they scene set, and then just the care that's taken into the cinematography in every single scene, like. I follow these accounts online that are frame by frame, every frame of every episode of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. And it speaks to the appreciation of the detail that they take to make that show. And so, yeah, I always enjoy watching that.
I need to start that one. I loved Breaking Bad so much, which is so weird. Like, I feel like it's more of a guy show, but like I loved it so much.
Yeah. And Better Call Saul too. If you like that, then you'll enjoy that.
That one I need to watch. Okay, if you could do it again, Traitor or Faithful?
Traitor. They have all the fun. I mean, as soon as I started watching the show, I was like, oh man. Of course, you have no idea what's going on there. And as you're seeing it, not only do you feel stupid watching it back, the fact that, Rob had his hand on my shoulders as we're doing the conga line. And then just as quickly as he does that, he takes his hands off and is like, I'm not doing that. And I was like, oh yeah, that's classic Rob. He's not going to do the whole line. But then he dips back into the kitchen to open up a frame and grab some cards and then murder somebody. And you're just like, this guy's having all the fun. And you're up there with Lisa Rinna and Candace.
Amazing.
Yeah, I was a little shy going into it about being a traitor. So if I had to go back, I would probably have some fun being a traitor.
It sounds like a fun show. I haven't seen it yet, but everybody I know is just in love with the show.
Okay, another one I recommend putting above the list. Actually, I think because it'll take you a longer time to get through Better Call Saul, put Traitors up at the top. You got to check that out, and it's very.
I
was just gonna. I don't want to put the pressure on here, but I was out of reality TV for 20 years, and there was all sorts of different opportunities that have come around. When I was watching Traitors, I was like, that would be a very fun show to do. And actually, I'd passed on it before.
Wow.
Thankfully, and then I regretted it. And it came back around, and I was like, and my immediate thought was like, oh, crap, I have to do this because I want to. It is a challenging, opportunity, and I'm so glad I did. They do such a great job of producing that show. They take care of you very well. And I was a little jaded from my Laguna days. So, it was a very positive experience, and I recommend it.
So on Laguna, did they treat you right?
See, they did. They treated us right as far as the crew, MTV. They took care of us, but when you're 17, 18 years old and they're taking a version of your life and sensationalizing it, and especially for Kristen, Lauren, and myself in this, love triangle that they really, really honed in on. They built it up so much that it was a lot for us to swallow. And they're not warning us that they're doing that. They're not telling us what the story is. They're shooting a lot of different stuff, and you get an idea of kind of what they're focusing on, but you do not understand the power of what is ultimately going to show up on people's screens.
Totally.
And how they are going to perceive that. So it was a shock. And again, no warning. You just, all of a sudden it's airing, and you're just showing up to college and people are watching it, and you're trying to process what you just saw. You're also having to field some phone calls with some friends back home going, here's what really happened, and this is why that looks like that. And then, people around you are asking that you're just meeting for the first time. So it just was not something that we were prepared for. We knew we were signing up for a show, but just didn't know that the reaction it was going to have, and of course the way the story. But MTV, they had a job to do. They executed it very well, and they did look after us, I think, after the fact, once the show was airing, the best that they could. So I'm always grateful for them in the show. It's not, I'd like a little bit more of a heads up, back then, but it's all good now.
That show was absolutely massive. Like it really was one of the first shows, right? Like one of the first real, I feel like it's all started with Laguna Beach. And when those shows, I just remember my daughter Brandy, who's now, late 30s.
Yeah.
Just being obsessed. It was very much like a phenomenon. And there's so few, I feel like, things that you did that. I think this is the 20th anniversary around Laguna. It's same thing with Hannah Montana.
Yeah, I saw that.
And there's just so few shows that literally catapult you into stardom like that so fast. And I feel like Laguna Beach did that. It was really incredible.
Yeah, I think it was, because it was the first of its kind where, that's the other hard part about just trying to process the show at the time, is all that recognition. And we didn't do anything to deserve it. I didn't work for years and take other small jobs to then eventually get Laguna Beach. I'm just this kid hanging out in Laguna, and then MTV shows up, and all of a sudden they're treating us like these, so-called stars, when it was imposter syndrome to the max, and validated, because it was like, you guys you're just plucked from obscurity. And so, and I think that not having a show like that before, where it was shot like a drama, we don't have confessionals. It piqued people's interest in a way of like, wait, I've never seen something like this before. And this is supposed to be real, and they're not actors. So
no, it was very cool, but I can imagine how that was to be so young, because same thing with Molly. I swear Hannah Montana started, and the next day she was famous. Yeah. It was pretty nuts. Yeah. Tell me something about the show that people still don't understand. Is that part of it? Kind of going from being just so completely normal living in Laguna to being thrown into superstardom and so much scrutiny about your lives, I'm sure.
Sure. And it was difficult because you didn't have social media to defend yourself. You didn't have, publicity team to help you. You're at the mercy of MTV. And when the show's coming out and everyone's asking, wait, is this real? Are they real, people that are living their lives and they're not actors? And so MTV is drilling into us, tell everybody it's real, just say that. And you're intimidated by it. So you're afraid to say some things, and that they didn't completely muzzle us, but you felt like you couldn't say exactly what was going on to screw up the show. Right. Yeah. So, you felt helpless there. But I think that for me, and especially in Traitors, I put Everyone Is Doing Great, which is a show I have right now. And then they're like, oh, it's not as, people might not know you as much from that. So let's pick One Tree Hill or Laguna Beach as your Chiron. And so I was like, okay, well, let's go with One Tree Hill. I did more episodes. I actually worked hard to get that job. Right. So I was proud of that. But also, it doesn't mean I'm not proud of Laguna, but people looked at that as shade to Laguna, or that I felt a certain way about it. And it's not the case at all. I'm proud of the fact that I got my start way back on this little reality show. Totally. And, here we are 20 years later, still hanging around the business, and it's been a fun run. So I think that some people think that, I feel like misunderstood in the sense that we hate the show. It was difficult to process at the time, imposter syndrome, being overwhelmed, just not expecting all of that. So you're very uncomfortable with that, and you're still processing who you are in your 20s, trying to figure it all out. And there's a lot of stuff in the show I wasn't proud of that I did, you know, because it's embarrassing being,
well, I was going to ask
17-year-old kid. Yeah.
I was saying, when you watch old clips, do you cringe, or is that a time you were proud of? Like, I haven't seen it, so I don't know, because I was
Please
old.
don't
I'm
watch.
old as
No, and it's funny. I used to be very, cringed by it and would not watch it. And I kind of knew it was there after that initial viewing, and then, locked it up in a box. But
right.
As years have gone on, thankfully, getting that perspective and growing older and maturing, you can appreciate what a little kid you were back then, and how much you think you had figured out, but you still had to learn. And so, I just turned 40, and I look back at 18 years old, and I don't wish for a second that I could go back and do anything over or live that again. But I'm really happy that I had the experiences that I did, because it obviously makes you who you are today.
1,000,000%.
Yeah. So
speaking of One Tree Hill, I'm really good friends with Tyler Hilton.
Oh, Tyler is the man.
Is he not the best?
He is such a sweetheart, such a good dude. I love hanging with him. I almost hit him with my car the first time I met him. Yeah, non sequitur. I was working on One Tree Hill, then back in LA. He wasn't working on it at the time.
Oh.
And then I was kind of seeing him as I was pulling into a garage. And I was like, and then I forgot to hit the brake, and he was like, whoa. And I'm like, hey. And that's how we first met. I was like, hey, we work on One Tree Hill.
Funny.
And then later on in the final season, season 9, we got to do a bunch of scenes together, and we bonded quite a bit. So I love that dude.
He is a great dude.
Yeah.
I like him so much. The Laguna Beach reunion aired on Roku April 10th. What was it like revisiting everything?
That perspective of having all the years that have gone by, and it was the perfect time to do it, because we were all so much more comfortable with the place that the show was in our lives. We've all moved on, got great families, and I think at all at different times, but we all processed a similar emotion, kind of what I was describing earlier about the experience and the uneasiness of how to deal with it. And so we all got through it at different times, but we're all on the other end of it for the most part. And so to be able to speak together and really talk about it, because we had never done it before, it really felt like a full circle. Let's put a bow on this experience together, and call it a day. So it also started from the podcast with Kristen, and we would have one-on-ones with folks. And it really felt like the end of that, like the one thing that was missing and wish we could have done was something all together, and do it in Laguna, and do it back home where it's like another character in the show, and the unique setting. So if we can get people back in Laguna, and just, let's pop some cameras up, and it doesn't need to be a formal sit down, grill everybody. I mean, you have that aspect, but let's do some scenes where we just hang out and chit chat and talk about life. And hopefully that'll kind of capture the original essence of what the show was back then.
Yeah, I was going to ask if there was something specific or something you guys really wanted everyone to take away from the reunion. And
I think to me, a big part of being comfortable with the show now and doing the podcast is people sharing their experience of watching the show and relating to some of the things that were happening, or if they just felt alone and they could see these kids and their lives, that they're just trying to figure stuff out in this beautiful place, and seemingly having a lot of good things go for them because of the location, and they could relate to it in a way. So when people would share that with me, it filled me with a joy of like, okay, it did something good for folks. That's great. And I think 20 years later, audience watching it, and they can also relate to themselves of like, man, I remember where I was watching this show back in 2004, and look at me now, look how far I've come in my own life, and remembering the silly crap that you found yourself getting into back then, but now you're sitting there, much more mature, maybe with a family and kids, and you could be proud of that. So take that moment to be proud of yourself, and also maybe connect with an older friend.
Totally. Yeah. Were you immediately intrigued to do the show when they called? Were you like, I don't know, or I'm all in?
Well, actually, I helped set it up, so I was in from the jump. It was something that I was like, all right, let me have a hand in producing this, and and that was important to the cast as well. You're getting, Lauren Conrad, who hasn't been on TV for reality in a long time. And so, those are those conversations of like, hey, look, come in and be a producer as well. And we can be in control this time, and we can tell our story how we see it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, the control aspect is, I'm sure, like a comfort, because even like I produced the Hannah Montana reunion.
That's right.
And so, just being able to creatively make sure it's what you want as well, I think is so important. Like, especially just going back into something like that when because did you feel like the people that everybody being reunited, did people feel the same, or did they feel different because they were so much older?
There was a lot of feeling like we were snapping back into those relationships and bonds from back in the day.
Yep.
Like you haven't skipped a beat, and that's something that was special about it. But you're also, people are there with their spouses and they've got kids, and so you're getting both sides to that, right?
Yeah.
Kind of this dichotomy of like, all right, we're talking about this silly crap that we did in high school, and we're with these people, but also, here we are all these years later of being much more mature and moved on from those times. So, and I think that's also what was nice about everyone being on board and getting in was really everyone felt comfortable with laughing at themselves, and
I love
we could all take the piss out of each other and give each other grief for what we were doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So who surprised you the most out of everybody? Like did everyone come back?
Yeah, everyone came back.
Sick.
So we focused on season 1. So everyone was on board, which was great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man, I think for the most part, I don't know if I have a single person. I think it's so great to see literally everyone in their family. And I feel like this sounds cheesy, I'm sorry, but just really to see everyone and their families and their spouses and just to see that everyone's doing well.
It's amazing.
It's great to see. So I don't know if I necessarily see somebody that was like, whoa, they've changed.
Right. Was there anything that came up that you didn't think that you guys would revisit that you did?
I remember, so it's like, all right, we have some kind of control into, producing this thing. But when we first started, we shot on a soundstage, and to get that sit down hot seat with a host part out of the way before we went and shot a couple scenes back home, and of course the host is grilling us a bit, and there's a lot of love triangle talk and kind of continuing to ask questions. Like, okay, what's going on here? And Lauren and Kristen, they were like, guys, I hate to break it to you. Like we don't hate each other anymore. Like we might've had something back in the day, but this is not, where we're at. This is 20 years later. So there was some grilling, of course, as if the show had just aired, a couple months ago, but there was a friendly reminder. It's like, okay, guys, I think we got the answers to the questions. Remember, this did happen 20 years ago. We're good now.
Totally. Literally, Kelsey, big fan.
Yeah.
She said, I have to touch on this. What was your honest take on all of that looking back now?
First of all, so young, so wise. I have my responsibility for just, having a lot to learn and not having an emotional bandwidth to process certain things and handle certain situations in a way. So I take my responsibility there, but it was overwhelming to see just how many liberties were taken by MTV to really stretch this story into like this blatant, like they made it look like Lauren and I were straight up having this affair. When Chris and I were in a relationship, and it was never the case. There was never anything like that going on. Never cheated on my relationship. We did have a lot of on and off as you do in those times. And it was, and this wasn't like any blurry, like, oh, we think there was some on and off time.
Right.
And MTV was going to retell the story that they had learned of maybe when the relationship was off and stuff. And Lauren and I we've been friends since we were like 6 years old. Like we went to first grade together, and so there's a little bit of MTV taking advantage of that as well.
I mean, that's what they do. It's I talk to a lot of people like from Love Island and different reality shows, and everybody says the same thing, that they're like so shocked when they watch it back. Like they're like, we have no idea. They're just filming everything, and then we go and watch the show and it's produced and edited in a way we're like, what? Like they were like, we have no idea what's being aired. And so we come out of there and it's just like so shocking at kind of the way that it's played out.
The-
I cannot even imagine that.
I remember the world felt it just when I was first watching the episodes, and I was also just getting into college, and you're just trying to meet new people. So didn't think that one all the way through as far as choosing to do the show and then looking for new experiences with new people, fresh start, if you will, as that show was coming out. But you saw those tapes and yeah, that moment of feeling so helpless of like, I don't know what to do about this because there's a lot to unpack. There's a lot of explaining and there's a lot of like, hold on, they are trying to tell you this and this is not what happened at all. So yeah, I mean, there's a few moments. I mean, there was a moment where I was talking about protecting myself from being cheated on again. And MTV used that as if I was the one cheating. And I remember, I didn't remember this. I saw doing the podcast, and it was like they used it in this. I was saying, I'm going to be good this time. Like I'll look out. I'm going to be good this time. And they used that against me. And I remember going like, man, like that's no wonder people really bought the story. Like they actually did
totally.
That. Yeah.
And so through the reunion, did you kind of get to tell your side and tell some of this so people got to see the actual
I think
truth?
that Chris and I got to break down a lot in the podcast. So it's in depth there, but yeah, we got to touch on it a bit there in the reunion. And so yeah, it's nice to feel like we can kind of let the story out. And look, we also, and give people a little bit more color to exactly what was kind of going on.
That's amazing. Yeah. I can't wait to go watch it. And do you feel like people got to see a more accurate version of who you were back then through the reunion?
Yeah, I hope so. I think, I feel like what they're seeing in the reunion, is a lot closer to who everybody really is, of course, from not only who we are today, but being able to explain what was kind of going on through our eyes back then and in this story. So I think it'll leave people with some closure. It's a closure for us to share that with folks. And for people that are, time to time come up to me on the street, like wondering, was the show real? And like, whatever happened, was like, what happened in the relationship there? So I feel like there's some closure for the audience as well.
Amazing. And honestly, people still, it's so crazy how people still 20 years later still actually do care.
Yeah.
Because
100%.
I feel like they feel like when you're on a show like that, they feel like they're a part of your lives.
Yeah.
And, I think that's what makes those shows do so well is I think people, it's such a reflection of them, their lives, their relationships, and they get so invested.
Yeah. I think that first season, we really had no idea what was going on. So that naivete, we were just being ourselves and really opening up. We didn't quite know truly how much we were opening up and what we were offering. MTV had a smorgasbord of just story to deal with and piece together how they wanted, because we weren't really holding back. We didn't know any better. We were just existing.
When you first got approached, were your parents like cool with you doing it? Like, were they all in or?
Yeah, they had their questions and the producers needed to come in for a couple of meetings in the house, and they did a good job of selling it as a documentary of just, kids hanging out in a beautiful beach town and very casual and definitely
That's
not
funny,
right? Not highlighting the relationships or here's what we're going to do with your son. This is what we're thinking. So they just, they dangled the carrot of like, we're going to take care of these kids and if they have any interest in working in the business or something, we'll look after them. And that was for my parents. It was like, look, this show's probably not going anywhere. You guys are not interesting, but you're going to, make some connections and meet some people at MTV. Yeah.
That was...
Boy, were we all wrong.
You were really wrong. Hey guys, this may be one of my all-time favorite sponsors. It is Lola Blankets. Okay, so when I first pulled this blanket out of the box, I was freaking out. It is truly the softest blanket I have ever felt. And the first thing I thought of is like, not only do I love it for myself, this may be the greatest gift that you can give someone of all time, because not only is it, I'm talking like ridiculously soft, so soft, and it's like pretty carefree. It doesn't pile. It's double hemmed. Like, it looks good forever. You do not have to be careful with it at all. And I just love how it looks. Like, I love anything neutral. So I got this beautiful neutral color, and it's faux fur. And so it looks good in every room in my house, but it comes in so many amazing colors. Like, it's so good. And it comes in large and extra large. And the extra large, they say it is the biggest blanket on the internet. So it is so incredible. I could not love mine more. And again, Mother's Day is coming up. I hope all my kids get me one of these, one in every color. So for a limited time, our listeners can get 40% off of Lola blanket products with code Cyrus at checkout. Just head to lolablankets.com and use code Cyrus. After you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and let them know we sent you. This Mother's Day, wrap mom in everyday luxury with Lola blankets. Hey guys, loving this next product and our next sponsor, which is the iRestore Illumina face mask. It is absolutely amazing. You only need to use it a couple of times a week, and it really helps with fine lines, breakouts, skin texture. It also has 360 medical grade LEDs. The red and infrared light supports anti-aging, stimulates collagen, improves hyperpigmentation, and boosts blood flow. The blue light helps reduce blemishes. It helps clear acne, prevent breakouts. It shrinks your pores. It is so great, and it's the only one on the market that lets you use all three modes at the same time. My favorite thing about this mask is it's so lightweight and it stays on so well with these Velcro bands. And I love it that it is cordless. So you just charge this little guy and you can use it wherever. I see so many people using it while they're on their vibration plates. I use it while I'm reading, while I'm watching TV. Like, it really is so comfy and so easy to use. iRestore is kicking off their anniversary sale with some huge discounts on their red light therapy devices. And right now you can save on customer favorites like their iRestore Elite helmet and this Illumina face mask. Just head to iRestore.com and use code Cyrus to take advantage of this sale. That's Cyrus at iRestore.com. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Give your hair and skin the upgrade they deserve so you can feel confident and refreshed. You became famous so young. So do you feel like you got to, I mean, you were like, when Miley was 12, so you were a little bit older, but do you feel like you had a normal, that period of your life, you got to be normal at all, or was it kind of all on camera?
Leading up until I went to college, it was normal. And I think that second semester of senior year, things changed a bit. We were shooting the show. I definitely had some friends that were like, dude, what are you doing? This is the lamest thing ever. And I was like, I'm doing it because this is lame. I don't want to be in high school anymore. I'm looking for new experiences. So I was looking for a change in life at that point, as you are when you're about to, go off to college. So from there, life became this whole twilight zone. College was an interesting experience just because people were watching the show, and I thankfully found this group of friends that protected me and looked after me, because this wave of people wanting to know about you was washing over me, and they just made sure that I was protected, because people, it was when you're a teenager, kids are just jerks. Like, guys wanted to fight me at parties. Yeah. And this happened often. And
I'm sure.
We would just have up and leave. And sometimes we got into fights and we had to just, protect ourselves and get out of there. But it was hectic. So, life definitely changed, forever from there. But I'm grateful for, that opportunity. And it's, so it's, we had to know a little bit, you're putting yourself in that position. You got to know something is going to happen, whether the show takes off or not, but things were going to always be different, but I was okay with that.
Yeah. Is there anything you kind of had to unlearn from being on, TV that early? Or were there some wake up calls or I don't know. Like,
it's a good question. What were some wake up calls? That there was, I think that I always give people the benefit of the doubt, probably to a fault.
Me too.
And I think that there's been some trust issues over the years, because it's like, hey, consider myself like I'm just a regular kid, even though I was on this show. Remember, I didn't work hard to get on that TV show for Laguna Beach, but so any sort of interest or recognition from that, it was like, that's not warranted. And so I let some folks into my life at certain times that I felt like I can trust, and as years gone by, you've realized, okay, you're probably a little bit, a little too comfortable, and you protect yourself. And so I think that I've learned that over the years to be a little bit more wary, especially when you're living in Los Angeles at 19 years old. There's a lot of different people you can run into that could be trouble.
Totally. Was there ever a time after this that you wanted to kind of step away from the spotlight because it was just too much? Or
I will say, I don't feel like for us, it felt a lot in some ways because it was very new, but I never had, paparazzi following me around and stuff like that. So, and I know Miley's dealt with that on a crazy level.
Totally.
A whole nother level. And I do feel fortunate that while the show has a big following, I don't feel like, and I feel like Lauren and Kristen really actually had to deal with that. And Lauren doing the Hills. So I tried to fade, and crawl under a rock. And I was, studying to be an actor. So I pushed away the spotlight for a while and just wanted to, just hang back and learn a craft. And so, I still always wanted to work in the business though. So it wasn't going to go too far. Always going to be hanging around. Just going to keep it within a grasp.
Has your definition of success changed since your early career? Like what success looks like now?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunities early on that I felt like were coming to me just because I was on Laguna, and also uncomfortable with that in a way, but trying to take them and use them to my advantage of where I ultimately wanted to go, and just try to, when time called for it, buckle down and work hard, and even showing up to One Tree Hill for the first day, I knew people were going to be a little wary of my presence, and I would have been as well. But thankfully, actually, when I showed up, everyone was very kind to me, and I'm so grateful for the way they treated me, because that was a very instrumental time, me being able to be on that show, wanting to do more episodes, and taking some of that, studying acting into being on set and actually, performing for cameras and hitting your marks and not blocking someone's light. So I think that, from there, that's where, I started to, might feel more comfortable, and so I don't even know where I was going with that. I lost my train of thought, but
you said on your hat, is that the show did you say you're
yes,
on
the definition. Yeah. Success. So I think that, and from there, what I was trying to say is that it feels, I'm proud now these years later. And as I mentioned earlier about, even having One Tree Hill as my Chiron for Traitors, is because it's a lot of work to get on that show and then stayed on there for a long time. And I think the acting resume that I built over the years, it's still, we still got a lot to do, and we still we're trying to reach some new ground. But I think that the work has only grown, and now we're just about to release our second season of Everyone Is Doing Great.
Wow,
which is so exciting. We've done that independently, and
love some independent TV and filmmaking.
Yeah, and that's been a journey. So
yes.
I'm much more comfortable with with the success. That, again, I say that lightly because there's a lot that we want to do, but just my place in this business, and the fact that early on we didn't deserve anything,
right?
But I've gone through some years of ups and downs, and testing yourself of all right, how bad do you want it? Because you need to work a lot harder now, and right now I feel like there is a moment of, okay, we're just about to get the second season of Everyone Is Doing Great out on a major streamer. We've put a bow on Laguna. It's been a good, comfortable time, and I'm probably the most secure I've been in this business. As far as how I feel, because I was so insecure for so many years.
So this show is it something that you created yourself and are producing yourself?
Yeah. So my partner, James Lafferty, who I worked on One Tree Hill with, we started this show many years ago, and we crowdfunded, thankfully, through the help of a lot of fans from One Tree Hill and some other folks. We were able to make the show, and without a buyer. We made 8 episodes, and we're like, let's see if we can find somebody. We believed in the idea and the team that we have around us, a lot of great creatives and filmmakers that were on board to help us make this thing. And so we did the first season, and we sold that, and they were like, all right, maybe we'll do another one, or let us know if you guys do another independent one. And so we did that. And then there's been some trials and tribulations trying to get to the right place, but we felt like we've held firm in the show that we've created, and weren't going to stop until we knew it got its due, or at least its best
Right.
chance. And thankfully through that, we've arrived here at this point where we're about to release on a streamer around the globe, and we couldn't be more excited about it.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love these stories because for me, like I love producing, and I think when you get to produce something and when you have control,
Yeah.
it's like, because I just feel like, I mean, even, you know, with everything you've done, when studios and everybody else is involved, like you do lose so much control. And no matter what you envision something to be, a lot of the times or most of the time it's not.
Yeah.
So I love the idea of, like, me and my husband are actually doing that as well. We're just starting to create independent films on our own. And it's like just such a different world because, you know, when you're part of the system, you lose so much control. And so when you get to do something that you love and you make it yourself, I don't know, it's just so exciting for me. I love it.
I mean, it's a miracle when anything gets made.
Totally.
I mean, that's why I'm sitting here today, and the Laguna reunion, even having that get bought by Roku and Roku seeing the vision, and having that just release, there's this crazy moment. I mean, my wife's about to have a baby soon. It's just like my whole world is like at this, like, wow, everything's kind of a lot has led up to this moment. We're trying to enjoy it, because it's so rare when these opportunities happen, but it's nice to see it through. And especially when you work on something independently and people come on board, you know, and you're calling in favors.
Totally.
You're not paying them what you'd want to be paying them. So you want the show to be a success, so then they could celebrate that and feel like they're gaining something from that.
1,000,000%.
So when it does happen, it's just, exponentially, the joy, not only, you know, for the team, but also everyone involved. And for us, for everyone who's doing great, the show would not exist without the audience that has helped it from the beginning, the crowdfunding. They're a part of it as well. And so we get to celebrate that with them. And they've been so patient with us over these years,
amazing.
waiting for us to make sure the show got its due. So
That is so great. Congrats.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank
love
you.
that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, tell me.
No, I was with the creative control on something. So
Yeah.
you were just doing the Hannah Montana
I did,
anniversary
yeah.
special. Now that working with Disney Plus, did they give you a lot of freedom, or do you felt like there was still a lot of push and pull on exactly?
You know what? They gave us so much freedom.
That's cool.
And it was kind of the first time, I think, with a studio. And, you know, when you work with a big company like that, it is never like that. But Molly, when she first started thinking about the reunion, she really had a vision. And so when I went to call Disney and kind of pitched them idea, I was like, this is what we're thinking. And they loved it so much. And so they really did it, you know, they really did give us control on this one. And it was amazing because, again, it ended up being exactly what she wanted it to be. And I find that so rare. Usually there's, you know, a lot of disappointment, and when you lose like what you think or what your vision is, you know, which happens so much. And this time it really, really, really ended up being so much her creative vision, and it just went so smooth. And we put this together, and like, it was crazy. Like, she kind of just started saying things on red carpet, like, there's going to be a Hanniversary. And we had no idea what that was. And I'm like, there is? Like, what is it?
Yeah.
And so she was like, I think it could be this, this, and this. And so it kind of just, I called Disney and I was like, I don't know if you've seen this, but we want to do it. And this is kind of what we're thinking. And they loved it. And we put it together within like 4 weeks or maybe 8 weeks.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was insane. It was
lightning
insane.
fast. And
Lightning
I thought
fast.
because it's been about a year for the process for Laguna and Roku, and we thought we were just cooking with gasoline with them. We were like, thank you guys for just pushing this through so fast. So
things take so long in the business.
Development hell it's a whole thing, and I've seen it with great projects and with very talented people.
Yep.
And you're just seeing things, it just gets lost in a swirl for a while. And you're like, man, it's...
When you're doing it that way, like, because I have a production company, years.
Yeah.
Years. Even with my husband and I's independent film, like, we've literally been in development on it for over a year. Yeah. It's so crazy.
But it really, like you're saying, it is so rewarding when it does come out. And we found this whole community, especially with indie TV. I mean, there's... these festivals, going to ATX and Series Fest, they've offered these platforms for creatives that really are working with minimal budgets and trying to get their story told, because there's only, there's so many gatekeepers in this business, and to really get that budget to make a series. These festivals are offering opportunities, at least maybe you'll be able to break through here. And I didn't know that those existed before. So it was another, kind of beautiful thing from doing this independent series and just saying, screw it, let's just keep going until we can't go any further.
Totally.
We found ourselves at these festivals and meeting, creatives that are in a similar position. And we're putting each other in each other's projects and stuff like that. So
that's so awesome.
It's good to see. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, I'm going back to love because we in this podcast we love. So
okay.
I have to ask you all about your wife and how you guys met.
Yeah.
And like I know that you guys met when you were older.
Yeah.
And I mean, if like older, I mean, just, but
I'm just turned 40. I'm going.
Yes.
Yeah, we're getting there.
You're getting there. But do you feel like that played a role in actually finding the right person? Because I feel like my daughter Brandy, she's 38, and she just met her fiance like about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And at that time, she was 36, and there was so much pressure at that time she put on herself, because she had never found the right person, and she didn't think she would get married, and and she was only 36 at the time. Mm-hmm. And now looking back, I'm like, so many people like get in relationships so young, and like you really grow so much as a person, and there's so much change. I kind of do feel like when you find someone later, you know yourself more, and I do feel like it can play such a huge role in finding the one.
100%. I think that I give a lot of credit to couples that have grown together after meeting early and getting married in their early 20s.
Yes.
And I think that they deserve some sort of medal for getting through, because you do change so much. I look at the kid that I was at 22, 23, 24, and I don't care how mature you are at 22, 23, 24. Like, you get married at that age, like you guys are going to go through a lot of changes by the time you reach 40. And so, you can, if you're able to grow together, that's incredibly special, and kudos to folks like that. But for me, it was, I feel like my parents were always telling me, don't get married till you're 30. And they were saying that back in like 94. So I was like, as we got into, the turn of the century here and a couple of, flash in the pan relationships, if you will, when early 20s, it was like, all right, I think I need to figure out myself a little bit more. And like, all right, we want to grind and work and focus there. And then I think when I got that situated, I'll be more stable about what am I looking for in that partner. And so, I think that meeting my wife, like it came after many years of actually being single, and I was dating, but I wasn't getting into any relationships, and I wasn't going to until I really felt like, all right, I have to be in a relationship with this person. And that's what happened. I mean, it happened from the second I laid eyes on my wife. I was like, okay, this is different. We're in for a long haul here. So and I attribute that to definitely being, later in life. I was, I think I was 36, 37 when I met her.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So what do you think really makes a long-term relationship work?
Man, I think what's important is you got to be able to let them do their thing, and be supportive of what it is. And sometimes if you don't even understand it, I think if you're, if you're knocking down what they really appreciate, or if you don't get it and you're taking hits at it some way, you talk about your husband going surfing, and driving, all up the coast together. If you were to, I feel like, give them a lot of crap for that. And it's like, hey, you got to let them, the things that are calling them,
totally
let them go find it and do it when they can, because life is already a grind as it is, especially as we get older and there's more responsibility. So instead of, pushing back on those opportunities for your partner to do things that you might understand, I think supporting them in that is what's great. And I think that shows a true partnership.
Yeah, me too. Is there little things that you do, like a lot, that keep your relationship strong? Like,
I can think of a lot of things that I do that I question why my wife is still with me. I can be so obnoxious. I just I have ADHD. So it's like, I'm leaving all the cupboards open. I've got 5 projects happening, and I walk into a room and I go, what happened? And she's like, you did. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. You can divorce me. It's okay. Like I am super annoying, but she puts up with me.
Okay,
so.
The cabinet thing makes me crazy. My husband, he does not shut a cabinet, and It makes me nuts.
Cabinets, drawers, everything.
I'm like, babe, like, why?
And I'm a clean freak. I like to keep a clean house, but I guess
Really?
I'll leave everything open. And just, it's for sometimes things will get messy as we're working on different projects. But at the end of the day, I hope to have cabinets closed and drawers closed and projects cleaned up.
That is so funny. Are you a romantic at heart, or you were like more steady, slow, kind of show up every day, or?
I think a little bit of both. I hope I can be a hopeless romantic. What's that? What kind of face are you making over there? Yeah, I think
what's your sign?
I'm Aquarius.
So is my husband.
Oh, really? Okay.
He's a show up every day guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely something I can pride myself on. I think I would like to be more of a romantic and consider myself. I think early on, in relationships, especially as we all go through those honeymoon phases, I'm happy to, roll out the red carpet and have a lot of surprises. And I will admit, I think the later you get in a relationship, some of those surprises tend to dwindle, right? And I think it's a good reminder to try to pick those up when you can, not just around birthdays and holidays and stuff.
Totally.
Because, and more than just showing up every day.
Yep. My husband was like that too. And like it was so crazy because he would call me instead of text. I would be like, oh my God, he's calling me.
Throw the phone across the room.
I mean,
Get
I
out
would
of here.
just be like, what the? And I would be like, it blew me away because it's such a texting world. And so when the phone would ring, I'd be like, oh. And like he lived in Calabasas and I lived here. And the fact that he would drive here like every day, every night, I'd be like, okay. Yeah, he's in. I was not used to that in a relationship. I was the kind of one putting out all the effort. So for me, that was like, whoa, my gosh, he's calling and driving. Like he likes me.
There you go.
But okay, well, let's see. Do you think love feels calmer now than it did when you were younger? Yes.
100%. Yeah. That's the years and the knowledge that we've gained to understand it better for sure.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to do a little thing we call the boring game, but it's really just kind of rapid fire, silly questions. Is there a cast member who changed the most?
I really felt like everyone's changed for the better, and there wasn't anybody necessarily, I wish I had a better answer for you, that stuck out as like, whoa, they are different. I think everyone's growth is just really cool to see.
Wow. Biggest misconception about you from your Laguna days?
And I think...
that you weren't a cheater.
Yeah, thank you. That's actually it. That is it. I was not a cheater.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, thank goodness, like you finally. It's so crazy after all these years, you're finally getting to talk about it. Yeah. And I mean, honestly, it's the scrutiny from the public is not easy.
Yeah, sure. Well, sometimes you think that it's also just going to go away.
Oh, totally.
And when it doesn't go away, and it's like I'm not out here trying to put people on blast, and I just like, I know who I am. My friends know who I am. But when it does keep coming up years after years,
it's like,
you're like, all right, like, do I need to address this?
Exactly. And a moment from the show that was way more real than most people think.
I mean, the graduation episode of Laguna, it still hits. I mean, when I just watched it for the podcast, I was bawling my eyes out. And that moment is as pure as it gets. Just the, hugs with parents. The parents are filming in the audience there. The conversations we're having as we're graduating and are getting ready to throw our caps up. Like that's a pretty special moment.
That's amazing.
Very real.
Were you actually aware at how much of a heartthrob you were?
I was in denial about everything at that time. I was like, no one's watching this show.
Everybody was watching.
It's like if a couple of these magazines that are asking me these questions, they're here for MTV to promote the show. It was something that I was very much in denial about. Could not comprehend.
Dang. One thing fame taught you the hard way.
I think protect yourself and you don't necessarily need to give everybody the benefit of the doubt right away because I think you need to be protective of yourself and your feelings because there's a lot of people out there that can take advantage of it.
Totally. What your life looks like now that would surprise people?
I do feel like there are people that really took that I was a bad boy from Laguna Beach, and I feel like I've never been that person, and I'm honestly probably kind to a fault. I really do enjoy people and am probably worried about how someone else is feeling more than myself. It was like, I feel like I can read, I'm very sensitive to, okay, I feel like somebody's uncomfortable here who's in this room or something, and I'm drawn to them. So I think that while it may seem like I was very self-absorbed, and part of me was back in 2004, because you're a kid, I can own that. I'm much more of a people person who really does, care about people.
Yeah. So who are you today in one sentence?
I am a proud husband and soon to be father.
Yay, love. That's so exciting. I mean, gosh, that's so crazy to go.
We're pumped.
I bet you're really pumped.
Mm-hmm.
Do you
we're going to be humbled, but we're pumped.
You're going to be real humbled.
Yeah.
And if you have number 2, then you're really, really humbled.
Yeah.
So she's like, nope.
Yeah.
She's like, okay. Well, this was amazing.
Super fun to talk to you.
And honestly, I feel the same. Like, I don't think you seem like a bad boy. I think you seem from what I'm seeing, that is just not the case. You seem so cool and down to earth and sweet and kind and all the stuff. So I'm so glad you came on the show. It was so much fun. And anything that you want to tell about your show?
Yeah, I mean, we're getting ready to launch. Everyone is doing great, season 2. So check that out. You can find us on Instagram. And of course on Roku, you've got the Laguna Beach special that's out, the reunion Laguna Beach, it's called. So check that out. So
exciting.
Thank you.
Okay, Stoners, see you next week. Bye.
This podcast has been brought to you by Podcast Nation and Hopetown Entertainment.